bust up my drip. My diamonds is water, might come up, it's lit. MyComeUp.com.
It's a very big transition in the sense of, you know, an idea, which at that time it is, and the reality. Right? And like you said, when you're in an environment where, per se, there aren't many dreamers, but you can see it. When I reference the word difference, I kind of more mean it in the sense of not accepting your situation, more realizing there was more for you. Let's be honest, rugby is a very, you know, driven, physical, you know, training orientated sport. What sacrifices did you have to adjust within your life in order to even before you got into the team, did you have to make personally in order to really step into that?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of times where you like see your friends going and enjoying themselves, being at university, doing the university life, doing all this stuff, and you almost have to have like a mental block about what other people are doing your age, because you have to say to a certain extent that you are different. You are, what you said before is you are different, but not there's nothing that puts you above anyone or below anyone. Like you're just different. You're in a different kind of situation, and you have to understand and realize your end goals, because I want to be. Hopefully one day I want to be the best. Like that's my end goal, and you have to realize that, you know, to be that, you have to almost go above and beyond. And above and beyond at that point in my life was just making sure that I don't fall down the path of going down the university thing where you're going out, you're doing this, you're doing that, and being kind of driven enough to say, listen, I'm gonna be an 18-year-old kid coming into an environment where I'm going to eat right, I'm going to sleep right, I'm going to try and do all the right things, and you have to make that active choice. A lot of people think that they're making the choice, but it's like an active thing that you have to almost say, listen, this is I'm going to do this, and I have to be so harsh on myself and so honest, because if you're not honest, you're not doing it. You know what I mean? If you're just going to lie to yourself and say, oh yeah, I'm doing it, but I'm half doing it, like you're just lying to yourself, you know? You have to be so honest and so on it with it. Like it's not just like a thing where you can be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. It's active, and that's the most important thing. It's an active choice, and a lot of it you have to take the naivety of way of being a kid and being 18. You almost have to not grow up, but you have to have that kind of that discipline, as it were, to just say, no, this is it. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and not worry about your age or your peers, what your peers are doing, because as I said before, everyone's got a different situation. So you have to understand fully your situation, take that into your head, digest that, take all of the BS out of it, like, because there's a lot of bullshit around it. People like to bullshit a lot themselves, and then just go with it. Like, go with it, be honest, and then you'll see the benefits within your own organization or your own path, because you'll see yourself stepping further and further and further and quicker and quicker and quicker along the line. Does that make sense? So you'll start to see it, but as long as you're being honest and there's no bullshit involved, then.
You mentioned something very interesting about the transition of like going from being in St Albans, not the lower end part, but the middle class, and then going into a situation where you're getting a scholarship into a boarding school, which I'm assuming had affluent students, right? What effect did that adjustment of just being around people that maybe didn't identify with your upbringing, what effect did that have? How did that play out for you?
So that was difficult. I never really speak about this, but the first 2 months of being in that school were probably the hardest mentally for me, because like these people are paying a lot of money to be at this school, and I'm not paying to be at the school. So like I'm there to play rugby and to do my academics. And it's difficult to, anyone going through this situation will tell you it's difficult because you almost want to fit in, as per se, want to fit in, but there's also an element of staying true to yourself, so who you are. And I think a lot of people fall down the route of wanting to try and fit in. Like, if you're authentic and you're you, like, what are people gonna do? Like, they're not gonna judge you for what. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're who you are. So for me, the most important thing was just to be who I was. Like, I was like thinking in my head, maybe I have to be like them or act a certain way or blah blah blah. But then I realized, like, I don't need to be anyone else. I can just be me and have fun and enjoy myself and be positive and make the most of my situation, and then hopefully people will see that and maybe grow to me or whatever. But what it did, one thing it did do for me is that it kind of it made me almost be able to speak to people and click with people that are from those kind of affluent backgrounds, as well as people. So it kind of made me a bit more rounded in that respect. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I can speak to people of that background and then speak to people from that background, two ends of the spectrum. Does that make sense? But I met some great friends and some great people at that school, like some really, really inspirational people and great people that have rubbed off on me in a positive way. Like, these people are so driven, even though they have everything. You know what I mean? Like, that trait is, I don't think that's that's not teachable. Like, you to have that trait where you have everything, but yet your drive in life is so bulletproof is an unbelievable trait. And it opened my eyes to say, listen, if these guys have that drive and they've got everything, why can't everyone have that drive when they've got nothing? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know? And it's just a beautiful thing to see. And I'm so happy that I've met the people that I've met from that school. And I'm so happy to be best friends, good friends with those people now. And it gave me a lot of insight into just life in general. Like, there's opportunities for everyone to go and get them. You know, if you want to go get it, you can go get it. That's kind of the main thing. But I think as a person, individually, it made me a bit more rounded. That's the kind
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, and just looking back from our conversation, a lot of the time you've made, even though you're in a team-orientated sport, you've made a lot of independent decisions, like, you know, being in the field and saying, I'm going to be part of this team, and then turning around and going into boarding school. A lot of the time you've pretty much been isolated, alone, in these experiences.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with fear along the way up to this point?
But saying that, I haven't been alone. My mum and my dad, like, they're strong individuals, you know? Like, they're real strong individuals. And my sisters as well, I have 3 sisters, so they were always there helping me and putting me on the right path also. Like, so I can't sit here and lie to you telling you that there wouldn't be times where I'll be doing, like, stupid stuff outside with my friends, you know? I'd come back and my dad would be like, what are you doing, son? You know, like, things like that. But, like, those guys were, like, kind of helping me and making sure that I wasn't alone. I didn't have that sense of aloneness. That makes sense. But then with the decisions, like, they kind of came, like, unaware. Like, I kind of would make subconscious decisions, and they would just stick. Like that one on the field, like, it was like a thought I had, but then it became a reality because I was active with it. Do you understand? But a lot of it is just, it's almost like, it's like a link between, like, common sense and wanting to do something and wanting to be the best. Like, I'm competitive as well. Like, I wouldn't be playing rugby if I wasn't competitive. Like I like to win. I love winning. You can ask the boys, like, we're playing FIFA and I want to win, you know, like, things like that. Like, everything. I'm competitive and I want to win, and I have that drive within that comes out. But it's when it comes back to it, like I was never alone. Like I always had my family there as a backup, and I think a lot of people don't realize that is that like you don't have to be alone. Like you can ask for help. There's help's there. You don't have to be alone. Like you can ask your family. You can speak. It's good to speak as well. Like and tell them when you're struggling or when you're you're drained or whatever. It's good to speak. That's the most important thing. It's good to speak. And this is a good question because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it at all, and I didn't really know. Like I don't have the answer for that question, but I obviously experienced it. Now that I've experienced with it,